Hi, Troy Harrison, the Sales Navigator. This video is for the sales managers. We're going to talk about a very important topic in sales management and training, and that is how to administrate a role play. Look, role playing is great. It's one of the most valuable sales training techniques there is. But I see so many sales managers getting it wrong and actually doing things that work against themselves. Here's the thing. Most salespeople don't like to role play, and there are reasons for that. We're actually going to cover that in this 3-point tutorial on how to do a great sales role play. So the first thing you have to do, the first key to administrating a successful role play, is setting the stage. What I mean by setting the stage is this. Set expectations for the salespeople of what's going to happen during the role play. That seems obvious, right? But it's often not. Look, salespeople sometimes don't understand role playing, and a lot of that is because sales managers don't understand role playing. Here's how to think of role playing. Role playing is like resistance training for salespeople. Here's what I mean by that. Role playing is actually harder than a real life sales call. You're going, wait a minute, harder than a real life sales call? Yes, harder, and here's why. First of all, you're having to make believe that a scenario is real that really isn't. Second of all, you're probably doing this in front of your peers, and let's be honest, a lot of people don't like to get on stage in front of their peers. And third, they don't understand what the reality of it is. Here's how I always explain role play. Think about a batter in baseball. Now, the guy's up to bat, and the next guy waiting is in the on-deck circle. And when the next guy is in the on-deck circle, he's not just standing there watching the ball game. He's actually swinging the bat, practicing, probably watching the pitcher's timing a little bit. But he's got an important accessory. He's got a lead donut on that bat, so it feels heavier than it really is. When it's his turn to get up to bat, he takes off the lead donut. The bat feels light as a toothpick. He's got better bat speed and bat control. That's how role-playing works for salespeople. Role-playing is like swinging a baseball bat with a lead donut on. Again, it's resistance training for salespeople. So make sure you set that stage and set that expectations. Look, at the end of a role-play, nobody's going to actually buy anything. The second thing you have to do as a sales manager is make it focused. I find that the most successful role plays are not necessarily ones that try to role play an entire sale from beginning to end, but instead role play a snippet of a sale. For instance, you might role play a sales call through discovery and presentation. I do that in my sales trainings. Or you might even try and take a smaller snippet of a sales call and say, okay, all we're going to role play right here is just the presentation of the price. Or we're only going to role play the first 3 questions, however you want to do it. But make that very focused and let them know the objective of this is to learn and demonstrate this particular technique. Again, don't try and role play an entire sale from beginning to end. That'll get tiresome for everybody. The third key to a successful role play, this might be the most important, is remember, it's not about you, the sales manager. It's about the sales reps. I'm a little controversial on this topic because my opinion on how to do a role play differs from a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there that say the customer, which is probably you're probably role playing the customer, should always make it really tough on the salesperson because customers are going to be tough on salespeople. Look, all that does is take an uncomfortable scenario, role-playing, and make it more uncomfortable. Here's my cardinal rule on how to be the customer in the role-play. If they are demonstrating the technique properly, and if they're using the technique properly, go with it. Make it easy for them to do so. Go ahead and roll with it. On the other hand, if they're not doing it properly, then it's okay to get a little bit tough, but end the role play before you really start grinding them into the dirt. Because if you make role playing an unpleasant experience for salespeople, not only is the person doing the role play going to not want to do it again, nobody watching it is going to want to do it again. What you've got to understand is when you're up in front and you're playing the customer and you're role playing with the salesperson, that's a very personal experience, whether you want to admit it or not. And so you need to take care of the person that is role-playing with you. And make sure that everybody ends with a positive feeling. Even if they don't execute the technique correctly, make sure that they end with a positive feeling, because then you can go back and coach and help them learn from that. If you execute these 3 techniques, you'll be able to successfully implement role-playing as a training technique on your sales team, and I strongly encourage that you do. Matter of fact, I think a role-play ought to be part of at least every other sales meeting, because training is an integral part of sales management, and training never stops. So, those are the 3 keys to implementing a successful role-play. I'm Troy Harrison, the Sales Navigator, and if this video has been at all helpful to you, you know what to do. Like it, throw me a comment, share it, subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you soon. If you are an owner or manager of a company, scan the QR code for your free sales strategy review.